Welcome to the All Tech Radio podcast. We are once again back. It had been a little bit of a break over the holidays, but we got a lot of exciting stuff going on at the CES Consumer Electronics Show. Lots of great news from Intel and many others. Welcome to the show once again, Scott.
Good morning, Robert. How are we doing? We need to get down to CES next year.
I know. I really
let's
wanted
make that
to.
a goal. Let's make that a goal.
Yeah. I even invited Andy, our old co-host,
Yeah.
and he said he wanted to go, and he might actually be there. I don't know, but I just got so wrapped up. I had traveled a lot, and I just got back from a teachers conference in San Jose. I gave a presentation there, and
Cool.
And it was a lot of traveling the last month, but I'm glad to be back, and so glad to have you here with me. And the Consumer Electronics Show, we've been to that several times over the years, but it's been a while. I think it might be 10 years since we've been there. Yeah, and then this teaching thing keeps getting in the way too.
I know.
I got
Day
to teach
jobs are
tonight.
just a pain in the butt.
But lots of really good news that has come out of this so far, such as Intel. We've been hearing that Intel is going to be coming out with their latest processors. The 14th generation. Okay, this is super confusing, which is why I think it's causing a problem. By the way, I did buy some stock in Intel, so I'm not trying to promote it or trying to put them down. I'm just reporting on the news, but I just thought I should mention that. So Intel unveils this 14th gen Core HX series processor, Raptor Lake mobile It's a lot. Yeah, I know. It's very exciting. The processor looks really cool too. Instead of, you remember all those pins we used to have to plug into it doesn't look like that at all anymore.
Finally got smart. Those things, one little pin being off and you are sunk.
Oh yeah, or if you bend a pin when you're trying to get the thing on there, and then you have
And then if you try to bend it back, and it could cause some cracks in the substructure.
Yeah. I've had to solder a pin back on before. That's not a fun thing to do. But so they unveiled this week at the Consumer Electronics Show, which is going on in Las Vegas, one of our favorite places to be for about 2.5 days.
2.5 days, maybe 3, depending on the food.
And if you want anything.
That's true.
And then after that, you just want to get out of there so fast.
Yep.
I don't know how people live there.
Yeah, I've actually got a friend from college that lives there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was down there one time with another company and met him and his wife. But he's been living in Vegas for a while.
Is he broke? Is he living underneath the streets in those,
No.
Because there's people
that okay. He's got a real house and everything.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole subculture of people who have gone there, lost all their money, couldn't go back home, and they live underneath, like in the subway things or whatever it is that they make it.
In the catacombs of Vegas.
Yeah. There's like 1,000 people that live underneath there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Intel, they unveiled this 14th generation Core HX series for mobile, as well as new processors for desktops and laptops. They got the Core i9, i7, i5, all those things with the 14th generation. One of the reasons that I invested in Intel, which is just an interesting side note, was I was really concerned about ARM chips. You remember ARM?
Mm-hmm.
So ARM, they use less power. They were a lot slower. We bought one of the first ARM tablets.
Yeah, it was kind of pathetic.
Yeah, it was super pathetic. I could never really even use it. Ended up using it just as like a slideshow thing.
Now, don't the latest Surface tablets use the ARM processor?
I believe some of them do. You can get it with Intel. You can get it with ARM. But one of the things I was mentioning, one of the reasons, because ARM is a competing technology with Intel, but Intel has a lot of smart people there. If you're ever wondering, should I invest or should I even is Intel still going to be around? Intel will make money whether you buy an Intel chip or an ARM chip because they invested a lot of money in ARM. So it doesn't matter, whose you buy. Intel's still going to make money.
So they really don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. It's just like years ago, you remember the competing processor with Intel, or the Wintel, type of environment. Who was that? It wasn't NVIDIA, was it?
I forget who tried to make that run.
Yeah, I forget who. AMD.
Well, they're still around.
Oh yeah, they're still around. Yeah, but for a while, Intel owned the patent until it finally expired. So it didn't matter if you bought an Intel chip or an AMD chip or any they still made money then too.
That's right. Gotta love that licensing fee.
Yeah. Anyway, they're also getting ready for Wi-Fi 7 support, which is interesting. The Thunderbolt 5, which has 160 gigabits of cable bandwidth, is also going to be part of the new PCIe type of, they call it a lane,
Right.
but basically it's just the slots that you plug into on a motherboard. Intel's not making the motherboards anymore, but whatever processor they pick, they basically drive the way the motherboard works.
Oh yeah, the whole chipset and the layout, and yeah, they drive that requirement.
Exactly. So they're getting ready, like I said, for Wi-Fi 7, and they've got this new Thunderbolt connection. So lots of new things coming, which are going to speed things up. Although I think things are pretty fast right now. I mean, I've been keeping my laptops a lot longer than I did in the past. SSD, NVMe drives, DDR5 RAM, the processor, even an i5 is decent. And then if you have a discrete GPU in your laptop, or if you have a separate video card, I think I've got one. I think the computer I'm on right now is probably going on 5 years.
The one I'm working on right now is older than that. And my favorite laptop is one that actually a client had me recycle for them.
Oh.
I put in because it was like 4 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And so I took it up the RAM and put in an SSD, and it's great. It's very portable, 14-inch screen. Actually, no, 13.3.
Oh, okay. That's nice traveling size.
Yeah, nice traveling size, and it's still my favorite machine out in the field.
Yeah, there you go. NVIDIA coming out with ARM-based processors as well to compete with Intel. That's so funny, to compete with Intel. NVIDIA is coming out with these ARM-based processors for PCs to develop chips Intel's competition in personal computers. So yeah, they're coming out with CPUs that are ARM-based. The ARM-based technology, once again, Intel has invested in, so they're going to make money too.
Well, if they compare that ARM processor, which is slower, with good graphics processing, and the M2 SSDs, things like that can speed up the whole group.
Absolutely.
Because if you just go with an ARM processor to save power, it's not going to be pretty.
Right. Oh, and this article, industryleadersmagazine.com, also mentions AMD currently licenses Intel's technology. So, yeah, that just, reinforces what I said earlier. Intel's going to make money no matter what you buy.
Yep. Maybe not as much, but it doesn't really matter.
They're okay with that.
Yep.
This is funny. It sent Intel shares down 3% on Monday. That's pretty significant, drop. But Intel's been on a tear lately, so it's hasn't been that.
It had to ebb a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's at this point greed is driving the market, as some of these websites say. Samsung has got some interesting stuff from the Consumer Electronics Show. They have got some new OLED TVs. Now, aren't those OLED TVs, isn't that the ones with the bacteria that they excite to make different colors?
Yeah, and have they done really good tests for lifetime on those things? When are the bacteria just going to give up and say, I quit?
And when is PETA, wait a minute,
torturing these little entities for your enjoyment?
Yeah, thousands of times a second, just make different colors. I'm just wondering, people for the ethical treatment of bacteria are going to. No, I have nothing against PETA.
Yeah.
I just think it was kind of funny that. Here we are torturing these bacteria just for our enjoyment, as you say.
Essentially, yeah.
So they have come out with some new updated anti-reflective coating that makes it better in bright rooms. They really needed that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hate watching a TV that's supposed to have an anti-reflective coating, and you see like the light, that's in the room, whatever it is, as a big fuzzy ball, that's reflecting back at you.
I actually bought a cover for my laptop, for my big laptop, that has a matte finish on it to make that better.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, the regular surface was just so shiny.
Yeah. Another interesting thing they came out with was an 8K projector. Transparent OLED screens. So here's the thing: is can you see any better than 4K? I mean, 4K, you definitely see it. Have you seen an 8K anything, and does it look better?
I have heard that argument, and they said, yeah, the human eye really can't discern, the difference between 4K and 8K. So,
are we making it for the aliens? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
The aliens are better, or spiders. I mean, they have 8 eyes or something. Who are we making this for?
If you take that 8K image, inside a machine, and then project through it through that clear OLED.
Okay.
When it gets a lot bigger, like on the side of a Coliseum or something,
oh,
it'll be a lot better.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that, because when you blow those things up. Yeah, I remember that from film photography, where if you had a 35 millimeter that you blew up really big, it did not look nearly as good as like a medium format or a large format. And so same kind of thing.
That's when those large formats really came into play, is if you really want to make it big.
That's a really good point. I remember I was a wedding photographer many, many years ago. I'm in my 20s, and
I think there's a movie in there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And I started out with 35 millimeter, and eventually some clients wanted to make really big blow-ups, and so I had to buy this medium format. This thing weighed like 5 pounds, and it only took like 20 pictures at a time, and you use that old-fashioned roll. You had the paper and the roll. Oh, it was such a pain to load that they hated that thing.
Did you buy a nice Hasselblad?
I did have some Hasselblads. Yeah, I had some of those. But this was a Pentax, and it was it looked like a 35 millimeter. It was the same exact format. That you look through the viewfinder instead of down into it and all that. So it looked just like 35, except for it used the larger film, which was really interesting. Yeah,
it'll make it easier to handle.
It was easier to handle, but it was still heavy. Super heavy. Another interesting thing that the Samsung has come up with is eye tracking to display content in 3D without the need for glasses.
Ooh.
They finally came up with 3D without the need for glasses.
So they're going to be shining lasers in my eyes to see where my eye is looking?
You'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
You'll be fine. I've been using a CPAP machine. I've had allergies since I was a little kid. Just terrible allergies, and I've been using the CPAP machine from Philips. So my CPAP doctor sold me the DreamStation 1. Then I find out after I've been using that for several months. This is back in 2020, 2021. That this thing is giving foam. It's giving off cancer causing things. So Philips sends me out a DreamStation 2. I put the DreamStation 1 in the closet, right? Okay. DreamStation 2. Now, yesterday they said, oh, this thing gives off formaldehyde because they used really cheap, foam instead of the type of foam they were supposed to use.
So you're becoming pre-embalmed, right?
Yeah, that's right. So what I had done was, because there was this lag between the DreamStation 1 and the DreamStation 2, I went onto Amazon and I bought a foamless core, and then I replaced it in the DreamStation 1, and I used that because it was safe. And I had to go back to that again last night. So I'm waking up all the time because I'm not used to it, and then finally I woke up at 8:30 this morning going, oh my gosh, I gotta do the show with Scott. I'm running late. So
where did the time go?
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out what. So I wonder how much money we'll get out of Philips, probably posthumously, but maybe my wife will do. She'll get it. Asus debuts its first homegrown Nook. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Nook is, it stands for Next Unit of Compute. But what it really is you've had Nook computers, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I've deployed them for clients. They make great little, say you have a big screen out in the lobby and you want to run a video show, you can do things like that remotely and just mount the computer there so you're not trying to stream too much data over the wire.
Yeah, and it's cheap too. Traditionally they've been cheap. They were made by Intel.
Pretty high-end ones.
Yeah, that's the thing. Asus just came out with a really high-end one. So Intel made them for years. They gave up on the whole thing and said, you guys can make it. I don't care anymore. So Asus has been making it now, and it is no longer a bare bones, type of computer. It's using Intel Core Ultra 7 or 9 processors, NVIDIA RTX 4060s and 4070 graphic card. These are high-end
good
cards.
graphics.
Yeah. And 4 simultaneous 4K display outputs.
Yep.
I bet this thing costs as much as a house. I mean, this is...
I don't know. The 4K, I've got a bunch of video cards that are NVIDIA P620s.
Okay.
That apparently aren't that good for gaming because of refresh rates or something. Okay. But for engineering, they can drive 4 4K displays.
Wow.
And they're little half-height cards.
Okay.
I think I have them.
Oh, you have them there too, huh?
Yep.
Oh, you just reached into your apartment and just pulled it out.
It's
wow.
my bag of tricks. Yep.
Oh, okay. Wow,
it's like that bottomless bag that's in Harry Potter.
That's pretty. Hey, we're meeting for lunch after this. Bring one of those, will you? I'll buy one of you.
Oh, sure, no problem.
I want to plug it in and see if I can get it because the cost of Bitcoin has been going up again. So I'm going to go plug it into my Bitcoin mining computer and see if it will connect.
Well, let me know if we can make a cluster of these things.
Oh
I've got more cards.
Yeah, we'll use up all the electricity. It'll be awesome.
There you go. Well, run that cord over to your neighbors.
Shh.
Oh, he doesn't watch this show.
You're supposed to use your inside voice. This Nook comes with HDMI 2.1 display port as well as Thunderbolt. I mean, Type C port, USB, all different kinds, and also Wi-Fi 6E. So right now, all Wi-Fi is currently selling with Wi-Fi 6, but there's this new standard because Wi-Fi 7 hasn't come out yet, and it's probably going to be out in the next year or so. 6E, which is an enhanced version of Wi-Fi 6, but you have to have 6E client devices like on this Nook, or am I saying that right? You say Nook?
Yeah, Nook.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was Nook or something. I don't know. I haven't seen one in a while.
Depends if you're from Michigan or from Oregon.
Okay. There you go. This you have to have the client devices, whether it's a phone or a computer or whatever it is, have to also support it. Otherwise, you're not going to get that enhanced 6E type of Wi-Fi. I put Wi-Fi 6 all over my house earlier this year, and I think the maximum we're getting on this with encryption is about 150 megs, with a brand new iPhone. I don't have
but what's your speed out the door? See, that's the whole thing. People can have these low speed connections, and why is it so slow? I've got fast Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're supposed to have gigabit with 6,
Yeah, but if you don't have a fast connection out the door, then it makes for great internal speed, but as far as going out to do your gaming and streaming and stuff, it's not really going to affect anything.
That's another good point, is if you're still using Cat 5 cables, for instance, to plug your devices into your switch and then go out to when Scott says out the door, you mean out to your ISP, your internet service provider,
right?
Not literally leaving outside, because then things get really slow.
Sure. They get wet and they short out.
Yeah, exactly. If you have Cat 5e. And so the category of cable actually is printed on the cable itself, so you can look at it. So if you have an older cable, it might just say 5. But if you have a Cat 5e, it'll go up to 800 megabits. So even if you have a gigabit internet connection, you're still not getting a full gigabit. You have to be at least at Cat 6, category 6 cables in order to get a gigabit speed. So if you're paying for gigabit speed and you're not getting it, it's probably because you don't have the right cables.
Right. Yeah. So, all those other pieces that have to meet the same spec.
Exactly. And then, of course, for Wi-Fi 6, you're never going to get gigabit when you encrypt the data. Of course, you got to encrypt it, otherwise people are going to hack your.
Yeah.
So encryption just basically means you put in your pre-shared key, which is that password you type in, and that adds the encryption to it. We're up to WPA, which is the standard for encryption. WPA 3 on all new wireless devices now, but a lot of older client devices, like on your phones and stuff, still don't support it.
I actually had to replace a Wi-Fi access point up in Hood River because the office got new iPads, used the new security, and their access point was something that Alan, a friend of ours, put in years ago, and it didn't meet the specs, so the new devices wouldn't even connect to it.
Wow. Well, there you go. You got to have it on both ends, or it doesn't work, and the right cables as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also mesh systems can mess with your speed too. You may have an advertised speed from your ISP, but if you have a mesh Wi-Fi system, which gives you better coverage, but it can slow the speed down. So
that's true.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I want to cover the whole house. Well, you just slowed yourself down. However, you got to cover the whole house, right?
Exactly. So you just live with it.
Yeah. Theoretical is one thing, but working production is a whole other thing.
Yeah. Comcast may say, oh, you'll get gig speeds. Yeah. If you're right next door and you have a hard line and it's new cabling.
Right.
And, all these things.
All those things. Yeah.
Are your connectors kind of corroded? Oh, sorry. We can't get those speeds.
When we've been at the CES show in the past, we sometimes saw cars there, which was weird because it's a consumer electronics show. How is a car consumer electronics? But typically they would be advertising some new sound system or something like that. It wouldn't be the car itself. However, last year Sony came out and said, in 2020, so it was a few years ago, but nobody was there. Sony came out and said that they're going to make an electric car called the Vision S. And of course, it's a sedan because making SUV electric cars is kind of hard. But they never actually did. It was a concept car, and then they came out with a crossover, which is more like an SUV in 2022. But again, concept car. But now Sony has announced it's entering into a partnership with Honda, someone who actually can make a car to produce the production car. So they showed the concept called, this is a really weird name, Afeela. How are you feeling today? Afeela. Very strange.
Is that the Japanese name? Are they going to call that in America? Call it that in America too?
It seems that way. It's a good, that's a good question. I wonder what I guess we could type that into Google. What's Afeela mean in Japanese?
Still remember when Chevy imported Novas to Italy?
Yeah.
Nova in Italian means does not go.
Oh, that's right. No go. Yeah. Nova means no go. You're right. Yeah, that's funny. Oh, okay. I just typed it in. It means fat American. Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay, moving on.
So the display in the front light bar in this fancy car can show info such as the vehicle status, weather, safety warnings, closest in and out burger, the media bar. I just added that. A canvas for self-expression, offering limitless customization. You can have it's a self-expression canvas in this car.
You can have it show the latest episodes of All Tech Radio.
There you go. I love it. So they also partner with Epic Games to develop the in-car infotainment system using the Unreal Engine version 5. Wow. This is when you look at this thing, it's like looking at a really long, skinny monitor. It's like the whole dashboard is a monitor. Wow. Really interesting thing. I got this from Jalopnik. Oh, that's funny. JALOPNIK.com. There's a whole big write-up about it, which is very cool. So anyway, that's out there. So I was watching the news the other day, and CNN was on a commercial, and all the other ones are on a commercial. So I decided to go over to Faux News, to Fox News. Fox News at one time, when Republicans basically meant conservatism, was you didn't spend as much as you didn't spend more than you made.
Right. It's a good idea for everybody.
Yeah. And you did not have an overarching, like a big government that was always constantly babysitting you. And I was all for that. And then Trump came down the elevator, and then that all went out the window. But so I was scanning. I'm like, why not see what garbage they're spewing nowadays on Fox? Because whatever it is, it's not going to be real. And sure enough, there was a blonde-headed woman. I almost said another word, but it's a family show, and I'll just say it the way she said. She said, "Well, having electric cars is just not right. It's giving all our money to China. It's just a ripoff. We should not be buying electric cars." So the alternative, of course, is to just heat up the planet, and then all the rich people go underground until things cool back down again.
Yeah, just burn that dinosaur juice.
That's right. So that would be wrong. And yeah, we know China has the most amount of these, types of chemicals and things that make up the current lithium ion batteries. But the thing is that we need to make what we have now profitable so we can move on to the next technology that will be better, where we won't need China. Otherwise, people are going to give up on it. I mean, look at GM. They're like, oh, we spent $5 gazillion last year and nobody bought our stuff. But that leads to better technology, especially when people do buy that stuff. So they can say, oh, people are paying money for this. I'm going to do this. So now we have something that it's been leading to, and this is what's interesting. Microsoft found a potential new battery material using their own artificial intelligence that they bought from OpenAI. Artificial intelligence is speeding up the search for new battery materials. This is according to TheVerge.com. And Microsoft and the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory has produced one promising new material, which they're sharing today. So it's a solid-state electrolyte that could lead to a battery that's less likely to burst into flames, which is awesome.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And then today's lithium-ion batteries, which is what happens. It also uses a lot less lithium. Okay, so we would have never gotten to something like this if we hadn't already been buying lithium. So that's the reason why you buy new technology, because it'll keep getting better, and then we won't end up in a worse shape than we already are.
Yeah, if you don't start down that road, then you'll never get there.
That's right. So lithium is getting harder to come by. It's actually not. I mean, there's some new places. They found a new dry lake bed somewhere in the southwest, and somebody decided to take a sample. The whole lake bed is full of lithium. So in the United States, we found a huge new pile of lithium. Cool. But anyway, we may not need as much.
We'll scoop that out and then turn it into another lake. Back to a lake again.
There you go. You never know. In the Southwest, it may become a tropical paradise in the next few years, the way things are going. So the researchers queried the AQE, which is the artificial intelligence, for battery materials that use less lithium, and suggested 32 million different candidates. From there, AI had to discern which of those materials would be stable enough to use, which wound up to be about 500,000. So this is really funny. Of 32 million different candidates, all of them were going to burst into flames. Except for 500,000 of them.
That's a downside.
Yeah, I'm really glad they asked that second follow-up question.
Yeah, they may burst into flame, but they're really cheap.
Yeah, that's right. They are super cheap, I'm sure. So they got that down to 23 candidates, of which 5 were already known materials, and it took 80 hours for AI, a feat so speedy it would have been virtually impossible without it. From 32 million down to 32 million down to just 5, and now they're starting to make batteries out of this thing, and hopefully within the next year or two we'll have it'll work just like lithium ion battery, because it has part lithium, so you'll still be able to use it in existing technology, which is great. You're just going to have to upgrade the battery.
So just plug in something new.
Yeah, exactly. It's like going from carbon batteries to alkaline batteries. You remember those days?
Right.
Yeah, you still use the same AA battery. You just, it's just made of something else. That's all.
Same form factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when I was looking at a video that was showing the bottom of a Tesla. And basically the whole bottom of the car is battery.
It's like a launch pad,
Yeah, that can burst into flame.
Take you out into space. That's where Elon wants us to go, right? So all you need is the right conductor to get that giant battery going.
Usually it involves a very hard impact with something.
Yeah, I had that Crosstrek, which is a hybrid. It's a gas first, electric hybrid second. Now, of course, most people are selling the opposite. They're selling the electric first and then gas second, which is better. But because I bought one of the first hybrids,
guinea pig.
What's that?
You're a guinea pig.
I was a guinea pig, right? So it used so many batteries that there was no room for a spare tire. But now they're a lot better. Now you can still get a spare tire, not just the old one. I bought it was 2015. I remember getting that thing. I was so excited. It got about 30 miles a gallon, something like that. Now, of course, they get like 45 or 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So HP, you remember Hewlett Packard? Remember those guys?
Oh yeah. I had one of their calculators one time.
Yeah. Unveiled the lightest 14-inch gaming laptop in the world, even lighter than the Apple,
Apple Air.
Yeah, Apple Air. Yeah. So they somehow got it to be even lighter than anything else that's out there, called the Omen Transcend 14. This is according to Engadget.com, making its debut at CES. Weighing just 3.5 pounds, 1.6 kilograms for those of you in Europe. The Omen Transcend 14 is much closer in size and lightness to an ultra portable than a gaming laptop. So it's 0.1.
Still has the performance it needs. Wow.
Yeah. It's 0.1 pounds heavier than a 14-inch MacBook Pro and 0.15 pounds lighter than the rival super portable gaming laptop. I guess it's the lightest gaming laptop, not necessarily the lightest laptop. But it's awfully close to 0.1 pounds away from being the lightest laptop on top of that. But it ends up having high-end graphics. And it's got it looks like it's overall a slightly larger computer as well.
I think the MacBook Pros, don't they use 13.3s generally? You can buy larger ones.
Yeah, this is a 14. They also have a 16-inch as well, but the 16 is a little bit heavier. OLED, all fancy light-up keyboard. Oh, I love light-up keyboards in the dark.
I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, $1,600. That's comparable.
For a gaming laptop.
For a high-end gaming laptop. Yeah, but it's super light. That's really nice. So the 5 best monitors that have come out of CES so far, they've got a lot of different contenders, of course. I thought one thing was interesting was the Acer Predator Z57. So basically gaming monitors have to be a lot faster than our traditional monitors. Traditional monitors usually run at about 60 hertz, which will keep your eyes from just detecting any kind of flicker. Like you remember the old CRT monitors. You turn your eyes to the side or head to the side, and then it's like all flickers like crazy. I hated that. And then for a while I was getting headaches and I couldn't figure out why, and it was because of the CRT monitor. Anyway, the gaming monitors are at 120 hertz typically. So they're ultra fast responsiveness. For gaming, sometimes you need just that little extra bit. For whatever it is, game you're playing to get that advantage. So then the typical large format gaming monitor has been 49 inches. I remember several years ago, you and I reported on that 49-inch monitor when it came out, and it was interesting, but I didn't know where I'd put it. And I think at the time it was about $1,800, something like that. So the Acer Predator Z57 is 57 inches.
Now, is that a curved kind of wraparound
and
one?
It's a curved as well. Yeah, the older ones were not curved. But this one is curved. And here's the resolution, 7680 by 2160. Of course, it's 4K. I don't have a price on that yet, but it does have the curvature. So it has one fuse. Now this I don't understand. Maybe you've heard of this. You ever heard of nits, NITS, of brightness?
Yes, I've seen a lot of those ratings for phones.
Oh, okay.
And
what's a good phone
phones
one?
Will say, oh, we're brighter, which is more important with a phone because of being out in the sun.
Okay. What's a good phone brightness?
I think 1,000.
Oh, that's what this monitor is. It's 1,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, if you're in a bright room, you'll still be able to see this pretty well. I don't know about you, but I hate looking at my phone in bright sun. I'll crank it up all the way, and I'll put it all the way up to my feet. It is not a fun.
Shadow it.
Yeah, I'd rather just not even bother. But like I said, there's a lot of fancy new monitors coming out. Some from Alienware, LG. One thing that's interesting, LG's new monitor. Remember, we were saying 120 hertz for a gaming monitor. 480 hertz from LG's new monitor. Oh yeah,
you can hear the buzzing.
Yeah. In your head. Yeah, when you walk away, you still hear it. Another interesting new thing that just came out this week is Amazon is trying to fix content casting with a new open standard. So Apple really came out with this casting thing, and then Google came out with casting, a long time ago, and it's been great and all that kind of thing. Amazon, not so much. So Amazon's, Fire TV, they've got their Fire tablets, they've got their phones. Well, I don't know if they still sell the phones anymore, but they, of course, they have the apps that work with them. So they've created a standard, everybody has their own proprietary, type of standard. They actually opened this up. So they're saying, hey, we came up with a better mousetrap for this, for casting content from your phone. Watch what's on your phone before you cast it to a Fire TV. And then they went ahead and open standard it. So they're going to let everybody else use it, which is great. It says that it's coming to Plex, Pluto, Sling TV, and more. Which is good, because I know a lot of times I'll have something on my my Android, and it's like I have no way of casting it because the TV can't handle it or my phone can't handle it. There's like some combination that doesn't work right, where I can't get it to cast right, which is super annoying. All right, so do you like to grill a lot, Scott?
Not so much.
No, not a big grilling guy.
Don't really do that much.
Okay. Well, I do like to grill, and the world's first artificial intelligence powered grill came out at CES today.
Oh, really?
This thing looks like a toaster.
Tell me more. What does it do?
It looks like a toaster, but it's a grill, and it can cook a steak in 90 seconds. 90 seconds.
Watch your electric meter run while it does it.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun. That would be a fun test to do. Made by Sear Grills Perfecta. This is according to tomsguide.com. Cooks your food perfectly thanks to smart sensors. So this thing, yes, it's got 600 and... I was going to say, if you get a 6-burner Monument grill from Home Depot using propane, it's $650. Okay. But this new one from Perfecta uses dual vertical infrared burners to pulse and move horizontally, reaching as high as 1,652 degrees Fahrenheit while providing 360-degree cooking. Wow.
I've got this little thing that you can plug it into and then plug that into the wall. It'll tell you how much power you're using.
Oh, really? Oh, that'd be fun. That's a fun thing to do. Although this uses infrared, so maybe it's not using that much. I don't know. A chicken breast, 4 chicken breasts. It'll cook in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
So have you requested your device for testing?
Oh, that's a great idea. Here's another thing that's interesting about it. It uses a quad-core Intel processor for the artificial intelligence.
Is it an i7 or an i9?
No, quad-core is kind of an older one, yeah.
Yeah, it is. But, they found something to do with them. That's
yeah. Good. Samsung came out with an AI robot a while ago, and it was really small, and everybody said it was super creepy. It follows you around the house. But they came out with a much larger one called Bally, AI Robot Companion Bally. It follows you around the house, just like the previous one. Also creepy. But it will also do things like play with your dog and babysit your kids. So it's not all bad, No, I don't recommend you allow it to babysit your kids. I do not recommend.
Yeah, there's a movie in there somewhere about.
Yeah, I know. It does, however, it does babysit your dogs, which is interesting. You don't have dogs anymore, right?
I do not. Yeah, we haven't gone down that road.
Yeah,
again.
Your heart's still broken from the last. Yeah, that's a tough thing
it's like
to do.
You one and they're going to die before you. It's like it's so hard.
Yeah, it is really tough. Yeah. OpenAI confirms it's impossible to train ChatGPT without stealing data.
I saw that. So that makes it okay, right?
Yeah. So you probably read about this. The New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft and all these people saying, hey, you can't keep taking our proprietary content.
Yeah, well,
yeah, it's subscription content and stealing it, and to make AI better, which I totally agree. I mean, you can't.
So they buy their AI a subscription to New York Times so it can scrape all that data.
Yeah. Oh, that's what OpenAI does. It spends like $10 a month on the on the subscription. Steals
it has a
all.
budget, Wired magazine, New York Times, Washington Post.
But what's interesting is that just to prove it, sometimes some people have done some tests where they've asked ChatGPT some questions, and it's spewed out word for word what the New York Times had written. So there's no doubt that this has happened. But what's interesting is this case, and I'm sure it'll happen in the EU as well. And between the U.S. and the EU, it's going to pretty much decide what's happened with AI in the world. I think it's going to set back AI a bit, like possibly by years. Or OpenAI is going to pay the New York Times and everybody else it takes data from a licensing fee. Yeah.
Well, they want to make all this big money off of AI by stealing somebody else's stuff that is supposed to make them money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair.
Either pay for it or figure out a way to do it without stealing it. One of the two.
Yeah, without stealing all the data. AI is just a technology in search of a problem.
Yeah. Also, in our final news article here that just came out this week, Microsoft is giving AI its own button on your Windows PC. Have you seen this?
I heard that they were going to make it mandatory on Windows keyboards.
Yeah. So a Copilot key for Copilot from Windows 11. Now, Copilot is the AI that's on Windows, but right now it's only available for enterprise customers. But that's only temporary.
And you still have to pay for it.
Yes, but it's only temporary. Eventually, it's going to be all the way down to Windows 11 Home, and you're going to have this button on the keyboard. I'm not sure, how they're going to make money off this, but they're going to make money. Probably you'll ask a question like, what happened in World War II where blah, 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 blah. And they'll say, oh, here's what happened in World War II. And by the way, what would go great with your World War II collection?
That, and also, be careful, read your EULA, because probably in there somewhere is anything that you type on your computer, anything that you say to your computer is all belongs to us, and we can use that information.
That's a good point. End user license agreements. Yeah.
Yep. That nobody ever reads.
Oh, we're going to have to report on that when it happens.
Yep. That means we're going to have to read it.
Well, thanks again for a very fun and exciting Alltech Radio Show podcast, and we'll see you again next time.